Hi, everyone, and welcome to tonight's masterclass where we are exploring how you can increase your accuracy. And I am so pleased to have so many of you here with me live. So, thank you, each and every one of you, for giving me your time and your energy and your commitment to this class tonight. I know there's lots of you that have messaged to say that you want to be here, but you can't. But I've got you covered. You'll get the replay. It'll be available until Sunday evening at midnight. So just before we went live, I asked everybody if they could let me know whereabout they were on their animal communication journey. And Izzy was first in with, I'm a complete beginner. So if you're watching this and you are a complete beginner, please know that you are now actually a step ahead of where most of your contemporaries are when they start animal communication, because you can take this training, take all the teachings, and you can implement them from your very first animal communication consultation. So you really are setting yourself up for success. So if you're a beginner, if you're here with me live or watching the replay, you are in the right place, my friend. So Laura's just starting out, have used a few free, very inexpensive resources. Sometimes that's a budget. The budget, that's just where it needs to be. My experience, you get what you pay for. So if you need extra and you're not getting what you want, then sometimes it's absolutely worth looking outside of the free market and the low cost market if you're able to. But well done, you're starting out and you're here, so that's the main thing. Dawn's in the middle. Claudia's a complete beginner. Beginner, newish. Beginner as to your course. Yes, I recognised your name, Silva. So you're on the Beginner's Bible. So we've got some new people. Experienced is Adele. By the way, I got the year's coaching. Yes, Dawn, brilliant. Oh, that's so exciting. Honestly, yeah, I'm not very good at bigging myself up, but it's a no-brainer at the price point. Like people that are on my professional practitioner program, that's £6,000 for 6 months with me. You get a whole year for 300 quid. On the early bird, 250. Like it really is a no-brainer. So I'm really excited about that too. And I'm excited to meet you too, Laura. Yay! I got your message just as I was going live that you're in as well. So issues. I also asked people if they could share issues. So if you're not seeing the chat, that's why I'm reading it out, just in case I'm expecting you to read something that you can't see. So the biggest issue that Laura's running into is believing that what I'm receiving is real and it's not a coincidence when you are spot on. Okay, so a beginning professional, Tatiana, yes, you are, my lovely, and you're going to do fantastic. Building more confidence for Claudia, completed your course, ready to start. So yeah, I love it, I love it, I love it. Newish, says Rowan. Couple of communication hits. Biggest issue is that I'm ADHD and my mind is so hard to switch off. I'm with you, honey. This program, this training class, this masterclass was scheduled for earlier on in April, and then we had an unexpected and really tragic death in the family. So the work was done. You're getting something completely different tonight, completely different. And I was still adding new bits in this afternoon. So for those of you that find it difficult to switch your mind off, I'm with you. I've absolutely got you covered on that one, because that's been my work in progress for years, decades. Early on in this change of career for Joy, yes, you are moving in a whole new direction, my lovely. I think I hear the animals, says Lee. So you're a beginner, I think. Let's just get something clear. This is for everyone. Somebody once called me a few years ago. It was an event that I used to do quite regularly. I've not done it for a while yet, called Extraordinary Animal Communicator. And she said to me, Sarah Jane, the reason that I love your events and I keep coming back and doing the same event is I love that you just call bullshit on everything. So said with much love to the beautiful Lee, I'm calling BS on I think. You don't think, honey. They are speaking to you. Trust it, trust it, trust it. They are absolutely speaking to you. So, Robin, you're in the middle. You joined the VIP as well. Brilliant, 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 Robin. Middle, that's Robin again. Right, I think I'm just about at the end. Beginner's Bible, but practicing regularly. That's the main thing. It's the practice that really helps. And using what I'm teaching you tonight will really enhance the way you deliver what you get in your practice. That's really the focus for tonight. Tatiana says, have a hard time knowing when it's a desire versus what's really happening. Yeah. I totally hear you on that one. That's just practice. That's just practice and experience. So let's dive in. Now I've got a feel for where most of you are. Glad to see that some of you are already in the club, because the club is just feeling really, really exciting for me. It's an idea that I had about a year ago when the Facebook group just wasn't what it used to be, and Facebook were changing everything, and I was looking at people's work each week and thinking they're actually much more accurate than they think they are, but it's just not coming out in that kind of environment. So yeah, so excited to have the coaching club finally be here and be real. But let's dive into tonight's training, and we will get stuck into all things accuracy, all things that will help you build your accuracy, which in turn will help you build your confidence. Okay, how to increase your animal communication accuracy. So the focus of this training is to, obviously, the title says it all, it does as it says on the tin, is to share with you and explore with you different ways that you can increase your accuracy when you are doing, and more importantly, when you are feeding back your animal communication findings to the Guardian. There are actually two approaches to increasing your accuracy. One is your skill set and strategy. So it's that building your skill and your strategy is absolutely paramount to increasing your accuracy, because that's about technique and approach and practical things that you put in place to ensure that you are hearing and receiving and also sending messages as accurately as you can. The second area where you can increase your accuracy is around perception. And that's what tonight's training is focusing on. We're focusing on perception. And honestly, once you know this stuff, you can't unknow it. You just can't unknow it. And it all comes from my training in belief clearing and understanding how the brain works. So what we're doing is we're taking strategies and processes that are all about the mind and how we perceive things. And I'm bringing those strategies to you here so you can apply them to your communication work. And that really will help take your animal communication findings from no, not sure about that, to wow, that was absolutely spot on, I'm amazed by you. So these are the tweaks and the hacks that I will be sharing with you all around perception. So the premise of tonight's training is about learning how to share your information clearly and factually, and always leaning into the data, not the drama. So in case anybody has never been to a class of mine before, you may have heard this, for those of you that have, you may have heard this expression before, data, not drama. So the drama, which we so easily go into, is, oh my God, I can't do this, I'm rubbish, I got that wrong and that wrong, oh, why did I think I could be an animal communicator, oh no, I want to go and hide in a ball of shame. That's us in the drama. Give me just a little hands up if you know that feeling well. Okay, you are not alone. So where we want to go is into the data, and that's what this training is focusing on. It's focusing on the data so I can show you and help you see how you can rely on the facts and the data of the situation and stay out of that emotional turmoil, because when you're in the drama, that's when you're likely to give up. And the animals don't want you to give up, and I don't want you to give up. So that's the focus of tonight's training. However, that said, whilst this is not focusing on skills and strategy, I've got this new animal communication coaching club, which you'll have read about in my emails and seen here and there. That is now open. And that's about strategy. So with your permission, I'd like to just spend maybe 5-10 minutes tops. It's only 2 slides, I think, just going over the coaching club and what's in there where you can tap into the strategy as well. So I'm not leaving you hanging with just the perception, but if you're ready to take the next step, and you might not be, and that is totally okay, you're still welcome here. But if you are, I've got some of that strategy covered for you too, my friend. So the key learning outcomes for you from this masterclass, you're going to leave here understanding how to communicate your insights to a guardian with flexibility and confidence that you might not have had before. I also want you to come away from tonight learning how to create space for possibility. This is the key in the accuracy piece. You want to learn and know how to open up. We call it wiggle room and the open mind. And I'm really going to be diving into that this evening. That's one of the key parts of this training. Being able to do that, you'll just take your communication findings to another level altogether. I also want you to be able to implement practical steps to improve your delivery and so that you can trust your intuitive process. And last but by no means least, we will be exploring and I'll be showing you how you can use language, and I'll be sharing 2 NLP tools. So NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and it's how you reprogram the brain. You can use them for yourself, you can use them when working with other people, but that's the crux of these 2 tools that I'll be sharing with you. They are to help you support your client in opening up their mind and opening up their thinking. And that will really help you just really get into that place of being able to share your information in a way that helps your client see it in its biggest, broadest light, instead of seeing it through the narrow lens that our clients often come to us with. When our clients are worried about their animals, they're here. Oh, I think she's sick. Oh, I think he's dying, or they're lost. They're here, they're in a worry space. And our job using these tools is to open up the lens that they're looking through so they can see where else your great work is showing up in full accuracy. So the teaching topics that we're going to cover, I'm just going to scoot through this really quick because we're going to dive into it, which is the most important part, the juiciest part. Stating facts versus making facts, the perception of accuracy. I'll share some real examples from my practice group. I took them all from the practice group in my Facebook practice group that I've just closed down. So I took them from there so you can really see. And some of them you might recognize as your own. I haven't named anybody, but you might recognize yourself. But there's no right or wrong, good or bad, whether you were the participant doing the work or whether you were the guardian giving the feedback. We'll also explore how to take pressure off, because we all feel a bit of pressure. Or is that just me? Give me another little raise of your hand if you feel pressure at the thought of doing animal communication work. Yeah, we feel it. It's because we care. So there's an extra teaching for you. If you didn't care and this work wasn't important to you, you wouldn't feel pressure. You wouldn't feel fear. So know that when you feel that pressure and you feel that fear, it's just a measure of how much this matters to you. But I'll be showing you ways that you can reduce that. And then we're going to do a big dive into the data, not drama, because this whole teaching tonight, this whole masterclass is based on that strong premise of the data, not drama. And then I've got a bonus teaching if there's time, or if there's not time and you still want it, I'm happy to run late. But if we're kind of on time, you can let me know if you want a little bonus teaching. So stating facts versus making facts. So what is this? People in their communication work, I've been teaching for more than 20 years now, and I used to teach in other arenas before animal communication. So when we state facts, we're stating something factually. But when we're making facts, it's kind of like story time. And it's when you get information from the animals and you start to make your own interpretations and you conclude what that means. And that's what you give to the guardian. That's you making facts. What I want you to do is state facts. I want you to state factually what you get without making a fact. I know it's a bit of a tongue twister. I want you to write this down. You want to state facts without making facts. Really, really important. This is a huge issue around accuracy and perceived accuracy. I see it all the time, even at professional practitioner level, even when I'm working with and mentoring professional communicators that are out there in the field and have been doing this work for a long time. It's a really easy one to do. So how do we fix this? I want you to use flexible, descriptive language. You want to avoid definitive statements. So this was something that I picked up in the Facebook group. He's 2 years old. Okay, so 2 years old. That's a statement of fact. You've made a fact. He is 2 years old. What's a guardian going to do with that? There's only one thing the guardian can do with that. Say yes or no. That's it. So what you want to do is, if you feel that really clearly, or you see the number 2, hear the number 2, then that makes sense to you. Now, you can say he is 2, and you might actually be spot on and correct, because that's always possible too. But when you're just learning, you might want to soften it a little bit and say, when I connected in with your boy, if he feels like he feels young, or there's a young energy around him. I wondered if he could be around age 2. Or he reminds me of my cat that's actually 6 but behaves like a kitten. So do you see how you can use these softeners? So you're changing your feedback from a definitive statement of fact to what you actually received, which is, I received the number 2 and I felt all this youthful energy. So he's either around 2 years of age or he behaves like a 2-year-old. That's very different from saying he is 2 years old. And in the Facebook group, the Guardian fed back and said, no. She said, no, he's not young. He's 12 years old. But later on, when I was looking through all the feedback, later on in a different post, the Guardian had commented that the cat behaved and acted like a kitten. Now, do you see, for the person that said he's young, and the Guardian quite rightly has said, no, he's 12, but in a different post that they might have replied to at a different time in a different headspace, because remember, we're all human. In that different post, she said, actually, he behaves like a kitten. So the person that said that he's young, they've gone away and they've thought they've got it all wrong. And if that's the second, third, fourth time they've got something wrong, that really knocks your confidence, and that might take you to a place of, I don't want to do this anymore, it's too hard. So this is a great way to always remember not to make facts, because facts, the Guardian can only say yes or no. But when you ask more open questions, more inviting questions, or it feels like, I wonder if he could be, then you're actually helping the Guardian open up their thinking, and they're not in that yes no place, but they're like, yeah, actually he does, he behaves like a kitten. You always say he's young at heart even though he's 12 now. So great top tip there. This is one of the things that I'm really hot on when I'm working with other professionals and mentoring them, or working with students and coaching them through my professional practitioner program. This is the key. this is it. You want to always state factually what you received, but you don't want to make a fact out of it. Now, if anybody has questions, you could put them into the chat, or you could write them down and we can come to them later. So number 2, the perception of accuracy. This is really what this training is based around. And this is where, what that means is that it's about creating that wiggle room. I referred to that earlier. You want to create that space and allow there to be that open mind with the Guardian versus the closed mind. And remember, you never know what space your Guardian is in when you're doing the feedback. They might be in a place where they're really worried about their animal friend, but they might have also had a really terrible day at work and stuff kicking off at home. So when they come to the feedback, whether you're speaking to them or it's an email, if they're already here and then their day is terrible, they're really often in this narrower space. Even if they're trying hard to be open and objective, we're human. We're human, and human emotions take over, they take hold, and sometimes we don't even know that we're in this space. So what we're doing here is we're really trying to help open the Guardian's mind just to think beyond. What I call in my program is thinking outside the box. So we want to work in that way. We're really trying to help people think outside the box. So phrases that you can use to help that in your delivery is, I'm not sure where this fits in, given what you've already told me, but this is what I've received. So if you're hearing what the Guardian said in your previous feedback, you think, I don't know where this fits in. When you present it as a fact and say, well, they told me this, and they're like, no, 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 doesn't resonate, don't know that image, doesn't make sense. So using phrases, this is called pre-framing. So using phrases like, I'm not sure where this fits in, given what we've just spoken about, but it's important for me to share with you what I received. And then you can say, maybe this would make sense later, or you can ask for permission. Can I leave this with you? It might make sense later on. Or you can also ask, this is a great question, this third one here. Does that information resonate in any other context for you? Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would I ask that? I've already given it to them and they've said no. Why would I be brave and do this? I don't have this on any slides, but I'm going to say this to you now. So please write it down if you've got pen and paper handy. Be brave. Be so brave. We call it in my programs having a brown trouser moment. Those brown trouser moments, if you can write them through, they are where you grow. That's where the magic happens. So be brave and just say, I just want to check in. Does that information resonate in any other context? You will be amazed, absolutely amazed at how many people will feed back and say, well, actually, now that I come to think of it, because remember, they're here, they're not thinking about it. This is why these questions are so important, because you're helping them, because you've saying, does it, the information resonate in any other context? Where does the brain go? The brain now searches for all these other contexts, but the brain wasn't searching for them before, but it is now. And the amount of times, and this one actually happened, it was a student on my professional practitioner program. They were actually at the final stage, coming over the finish line, and they had their external assessment. And I had my call with the external assessor, and she said to me, none of the information the student was giving me was resonating, like none of it at all. And the assessor was feeling awkward. The student was clearly feeling really nervous. I think he just failed the program. But the student came out with something along the lines of, does that information resonate in any other context? And the assessor was then able to say, actually, that fits my other dog. That fits my other dog who's actually in spirit, wasn't even alive anymore. So when you ask these kind of mind opening questions, the brain searches, and then that will help your client think outside the box to see if your information fits anywhere else, because they're not seeing it right now. So a really good question there. So the example that I took from the Facebook group was the participant had said that they had seen an image of a white dog, and the Guardian had said, no, there's no white dog. But I saw again in another post that there had been, because somebody had put in another comment that they had seen a white dog and some other animals. And the Guardian said, yes, these are animals that the dog would have known before they all passed away. So the dog's now in spirits. There's not a white dog physically there anymore. But if you'd asked that last question, does this information resonate in any other context? The Guardian's mind is going to automatically go to a white dog of that description. Where else? Oh, yes, passed away 10 years ago, and would have known this puppy at that time. So give me a thumbs up if this is making sense and we are all staying up to speed. I'm needing a thumbs up. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So moving on to some other examples. Again, these ones are all from the Facebook group, just looking at different weekly teachers that you've worked with over maybe a couple of months. So age. I've already covered that. You can put a number. If you get a number, be brave and say the number. What I would recommend is if you say the number, in that example, young or is 2, and the Guardian says no, 12, then you, knowing this training, right, I'm going to see, actually, I'm going to put you all on the spot. I can't see the chat just yet, so I'll come back to it in a moment. If you know what you would say next, pop it in the chat for me. So you're doing your feedback and you say to the Guardian, oh, your girl tells me that she's 2. And the Guardian says, no, she's 12. What are you going to say next? Pop it in the chat. And then we've got colours. So the amount of times where I have seen descriptions of items, bedding, etc. And they've given the colour of it, and the Guardians said, no, it's blue. And I remember one of my own, actually, it was a purple. I saw like a royal purple. It was really quite majestic. It was a royal purple cushion, and this cat adored this cushion. It was like the cat was in love with this cushion. And when I fed it back to the family, and they said, no, it's not a purple cushion. And I said, well, this cushion feels really important to your cat. You know, he loves this cushion. And then the mother looked at the daughter, and I just clocked that look. And they went, oh, it's the blue cushion. And the cat had sexual intercourse on a regular basis with this blue cushion. So, yes, very important to the cat. But I saw it as a purple cushion. I saw that royal, majestic purple. They saw blue. Now, on the color wheel, blue and purple are right next to each other. So, colors can sometimes get a little bit lost in translation. And what I realize now that I didn't know back then, that royal purple, that majestic color, was probably symbolic. That was a symbolic reference to the majesticness, if that is such a word, of this cat. And he absolutely was. He was the king of the house. So I was seeing purple, which is close to blue on the color wheel, but also the purple could be, and absolutely I'm 100% certain that that was more of a symbolic representation of the cat, the cushion, the relationship, and how the cat showed up in the house. So colors, if you are, especially if you're just starting out, if you're seeing that it's a white blanket, and I do remember this happening at a workshop, and the participant said it's a white blanket, and the person she was working with said, no, it's not, it's cream. So you're just starting out. White cream, does it really matter? If you change that to I saw a pale coloured blanket, or I saw a light coloured blanket. If you want to, you could then add in maybe white or cream. And remember, pale yellow is also in that kind of part of the color spectrum. You've even got those really pale kind of apple greens. So if you think about colors, you just need to look at a color wheel, and you can see how many colors are so close together. And some person's interpretation of a color might be very different from somebody else's. And it's not about right or wrong, it's just about perception. And here's a story to put this fully into perspective. Many years ago, my husband asked me, we were leaving, we were going out, and he said, can you run upstairs and get me a blue hoodie? So that was the instruction, for want of a better word. Can you pop upstairs and get me my blue hoodie? And I said, sure. Ran upstairs, went into his wardrobe, and he does have a royal blue hoodie, which I really liked, but it wasn't there. And I said to him, I can't see your blue hoodie. And he yells back up the stairs, it's there, it's beside the whatever. And I picked this thing out, and I held it at the top of the stairs, and I was like, this. And he went, yeah, that's it. Oh my Lord. Not only did it not have a hood, so I wouldn't call it a hoodie because there's no hood on it, but it was grey. It was like that petrol grey colour. And I'm standing at the top of the stairs going, that's not blue. It's like, yes, it is blue. I was like, that's grey. No, it's not. It's blue. We actually had an argument about the colour of this frigging hoodie that was not even a hoodie because it didn't have a hood on it. So there's a perfect example of two people speaking the same language. There's no animal communication, misinterpretation. We're both speaking English, both learned our colours at nursery, but he saw that as blue and I saw that absolutely as grey. So colors can get lost in translation. So you can just use kind of like general terms, like it was pale in color, or it was dark, or it was a mid kind of brown, along that kind of color. And then just see what the feedback is coming back, because when you say it's white, you're going to say no. When you say it's a purple cushion, no. But when you start to expand and explore that by using other language, it was pale colored, yeah, it's a creamy color. You've got it right. It was I saw it like a purple, which is quite close to blue, somewhere around that kind of blue purple area. Yeah, it's blue. So do you see how your client is now seeing that you are much more accurate than you would have been if you just said it's this, because you're making fact out of something that can be lost in translation. So other animals around, I did actually touch on that with the little white dog. So this is where if you ask an animal who they share their home with, and they show you like 6 cats and another 2 dogs and a horse's head popping through the kitchen window, and you feed all of that back excitedly to the guardian, thinking they must have a pet zoo somewhere, and they're saying, no, 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 it's just him and a cat. You're like, where did all these other animals come from? So what I want you to think about here is your guardian's looking at who is physically living in the house. And if they don't have either awareness or understanding of animals in spirit, all these animals can be popping back, can be visiting. And the animal that you're communicating with sees them, talks to them, has conversations with them. So when you're asking the animal, who do you live with? They're showing you everybody that's in their life that's important to them, but the guardian might not recognize that because they've only asked about the actual animals. That's where their head is. Their head is here. So just be aware of that around other animals when the guardian doesn't recognize them. So again, putting you on the spot tonight, because if you've worked with me before, you know it's not about testing you. This is not about testing you. It's about reinforcing the learning. I'm not into testing people. It doesn't work. It makes the brain go like that and shrivel. This is not about testing you. It's about reinforcing the learning. What can you remember? I know there's been a lot so far, but what can you remember? So that's what this is about. So pop it in the chat. If you're seeing other animals and the guardian says, no, 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 it's only them and the dog, or it's only the cat and the horse in the field, what could you be saying to that response from the guardian? Now, the images, this is a really important one, and I alluded to it with the purple cushion, and it's when you get images that don't mean anything to you and they don't mean anything to the guardian, and you don't have a sense of what they are, and the guardian's like, oh, I don't understand that. So I want you to be thinking about whether the image that you're receiving is real, as in literal. It's a literal translation of what is happening for the animal or where the animal is, versus is it a symbolic representation. Now, I don't have time on this training to dive into all the intricacies of symbolism, but it's really important that you have awareness of symbolism and how it can show up in your communication work, and more importantly, how it can impact your perceived accuracy by the guardian. Because if you're giving 3 or 4 images that don't make any sense to the guardian's thinking, she's not very good. He's got that wrong. Wrong again, losing confidence in you and your amazing work. So when you're aware that something can be representative, bring that in and say to the guardian, it could be that this symbol, this image represents something. Does it mean anything to you? And then just you're helping the guardian go out here, because as soon as you say, does it mean anything to you? They are now searching. They are now looking for the information. So this is what we want to do with these clever questions to help the guardian look for information. So let me just put that down. Sorry, there's boxes popping on my screen. I don't know if you can see them or not. Hopefully you don't, but it's just some other people coming into the room. So welcome, you're welcome in this space. So have a think about that in terms of the images. So with the cushion, the blue cushion, I saw it as purple. That was symbolic. It was symbolic of that cat's majesty, of his kingliness, of his ruling the house. So symbolic images can come up. Not everybody receives symbolic images, but once you've had 1 or 2, that's probably going to be something that comes up in your work. So it's really important to explain to the guardian that if you don't understand this image, it might be that it's not a literal image, but it's more of a representation of something. So for example, water. Imagine if you saw a body of water in your communication, and that's the image that you were given. For one animal communicator, that body of water might represent emotion. And if the water's still, that might mean calm emotion for that animal communicator in the way that they communicate and receive information. if the water was, like a tsunami, then for that same animal communicator, that would be turbulent emotion. That's what that represents for that animal communicator in the way that they work with images. For another animal communicator, it might mean something completely different. It might be related to movement and fluidity in the body or in how the animal behaves or lives his life. For yet another animal communicator, that same body of water might just be a body of water because they don't do symbolism and they just get literal images and they always translate exactly as they see them. So it's just important to be aware of this when you're giving your feedback, because if the guardian's saying, no, I don't know that image, don't understand that image, I can't, it doesn't resonate, I don't know where it belongs, then you want to be asking, I wonder if this is a symbol or symbolic of something else. If that image had a different meaning, what would that mean to you? And just see what they come back with. And also, top tip here, tune into your own sense of what that image means as well. When I work with symbolism, I just have a feeling, a knowing that it's not real. So the first time it ever happened to me, I was working down south in England, and I was working with a dog, and he showed me my grandparents' kitchen. Now, I know that that dog has never been up in Scotland, in the north of Scotland, in my grandparents' kitchen. Like, I know that has never happened. So I knew that that was symbolic. And so what I did there, and this is another teaching tip that I didn't plan to go into tonight, but hey, I always love to give a little bit extra. So when you've got your symbolic image, just take the key components. So for that image of my grandparents' kitchen, that was the heart of the home. So there was rocking chairs at either side of the aga. It was where the hub of everything happened. And there was the aga, which was the heat source as well as a cooking source. So bringing all of these elements to the guardian, she was able to absolutely resonate with that image, although it did not look anything like her kitchen. So just think about what it means to you as well. And then you can ask the guardian, does that mean anything to you? If you were to think of it, through that symbolic lens, if that was to symbolize something, would that make it any more meaningful for you? So here's another top tip. I hadn't planned to talk about this either. But if the guardian still says no and you're doing your best with all the training from this class to ask good quality questions to get the guardian thinking outside the box and it's still a no, it's still a no, what I want you to do is do not let your brain go into, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, shrivel, 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 shrivel. Don't allow that to happen. Keep it light and just say, that's okay. We'll just park that to the side. And remember one of the earlier slides? That might land for you later. You could just have that. That might land for you later. So I'll leave that with you. And now we'll move on to the next part. So you just want to keep it light. You don't want to be overly focused on something that isn't, the guardian just isn't resonating with. Because sometimes we just get it wrong. And that is okay too. Okay. This is a rogue slide. This should not be here. Let me skip past that one. Oh, I must have forgot to save and update it. My apologies. We might have a couple of other rogue slides in there. So this is all about taking the pressure off. So what I've been doing, you might have noticed with the previous slides, is I've been creating a kind of key strategy for each of these teaching topics. What is it? How do we want to approach it? And what strategies can you use? And some kind of example or top tip for you before we leave the slide. So taking the pressure off. What this is about is knowing for fact, underline that, double score it, write it down. Fact, every animal communication that you do will be different because every time you do an animal communication, you will be different. You'll be in a different headspace, different mental space. There'll be different stuff going on for you at work, different stuff going on for you at home, different stuff going on for you with your own animals. So every time you do a communication, you will be in a different space. And it's really important to recognize and allow for that humanness. because we are human and we're not robots, we're not machines. We don't just switch it on and go through all the questions, switch it off, and then go back to our home lives. It doesn't work like that. So, what I want you to do, the strategy here is treat it all as an experiment. If you've followed me for a while, you'll have heard this before. It's so important. When you look at it as an experiment, instead of like, oh my goodness, can I do this communication? I'm rubbish. I don't know. I've not practiced for so long and I don't think I can remember everything. You're in that space. So how we get to here is, I wonder, is a Wednesday evening in the UK at 7 o'clock a good time for me to communicate or not? Let's see. Very, very different. Or, I've had a busy 3 days, not much rest time. I wonder if this is an okay time for me to communicate. Will I still be able to do it? Let's see. So you're really changing the energy around how you're approaching the consultation when you take it to that place of an experiment. Just approach every communication from a place of love and curiosity and a big, massive open heart. And I promise you, you really cannot go wrong. And this is where we use that big open heart to calibrate. That's the strategy in the moment. Tune in, don't rush in. Take your time, tune into yourself. What do you need? Do you need to be more hydrated? Do you need to be out in nature for a little bit? Don't rush in, filled with the pressure of getting it done. Take your time, tune into yourself, tune into the animal. And then when you are doing feedback and you're feeling that pressure, when you're giving your feedback to the guardian, just use really gentle feedback questions, those kind of openers. Does that bring anything to mind? And if it's a no, or you got something and it felt really strongly for you, that's happened to me many times where the information has been like, wham, I know I cannot ignore that, but it hasn't resonated with the guardian. So asking them, would it be okay to explore this together? Or would you mind if we explored this a little bit more? Because that came through so strongly for me. I don't feel I would be doing your animal friend justice if I just walked away from it because it's not resonating with you just now. Could we spend a couple of minutes just exploring that? Would that be okay? That's a really respectful way to not only ask their permission to dive into it a little bit more, but also to remind them that their animal sent this and you felt it so strongly, that means it has importance and significance for their animal friend. So just bringing in these kind of soft questions to help open up the conversation between you and the guardian, because animal communication, it is a collaboration, it's a partnership, it is not a test of your abilities. It can feel like that for sure. It can feel like that, but it's not. Somebody has asked you to communicate with their animal because they can't. Or maybe they can, but it's not the right time, space, or energy for them to do it because they're too closely involved because it's their own. So they've asked you to communicate with them because they're worried or they need to know something. So you're in it together. You've got something that the guardian wants. And we often come into animal communication feeling like it's not a balance. You know, I've seen it like a set of scales or a seesaw, and we kind of put the guardian up here and we're down here worrying, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. But actually, it's a partnership. You've got something that the guardian needs. And so see it like that. So take the pressure off, treat it all as an experiment. How will I get on today? I don't know. Let's go. See what happens. It's an experiment. Is today a good day? We'll find out later. It's a better day than yesterday, but maybe tomorrow's even better. Who knows? That's the energy that I want you to bring to it, as well as remembering that animal communication is absolutely a partnership between you and the animal, but also you and the guardian as well. So now we're moving into data, not drama. This is one of my favorite topics. I couldn't think of any more user-friendly terms. I'm just giving you the real terms. These are the scientific terms. So NLP tool number one that we're using, it's the meta model, and the meta model of challenging absolutes. So what is that? That does sound proper gunky somewhere over there. Yeah, for sure. So what it is, it just means that there's no middle ground. It's the absolutes. It's when people say things like, You're always late. That's probably not true. They might be late many, many times, but not every single time. Or you never put the toothpaste back in the cupboard. Again, not likely to be true. They maybe nearly always don't put it back in the cupboard, but it won't be absolutely always. So that's what an absolute is, when it's that absolute, you know, at one extreme or the other. So there's no middle ground when you're working in absolutes. So what the invitation here is to gently challenge the guardian's thinking. So this is where rigid beliefs can come in, and they can really knock your confidence as an animal communicator, and they can also reduce the client's perception of your accuracy, which in turn they will link to your competence, and it's just not always true. So an example of a rigid belief is that, sorry, your rigid belief as a communicator, the guardian said no, so I was wrong. How many of you, give me a show of hands, how many of you have had that experience where the guardian said no? It's like, no, don't know what that means, doesn't resonate, no, it's not really landing for me. And you come away with, I was wrong because they said no. That is an absolute. That is a rigid belief. So what I want to invite you to do is to start switching that around. What if the guardian didn't even know? They didn't know, so they couldn't comment. What if they just didn't remember? What if they just didn't recognize it there and then when you gave the feedback, but it came to them 3 days later? Do you see how that thinking is so important for your confidence as an animal communicator? I have a million stories. I'm going to share one because it's an old one now, and I have shared it lots of times because it just nails this completely. And it's a story of Karma, a very princess-like cat. And her mum, somebody was doing communication work, was a student on my program, a professional practitioner program, and they were doing the consultation with Karma. And Karma said that she loved fish. And the guardian, nope, hates fish, does not eat any of the fish foods, not tuna, not salmon, not trout, nothing. Will not eat any of the fish. So the student said something like, okay, and it came in quite strongly, and there was a lot of desire and positive feeling around it. So I'm just a little bit surprised by that, but you're the guardian. If she doesn't eat fish, she doesn't eat fish. I'm not quite sure what that means. So you can see you're helping the guardian realize that, well, this was quite strong feeling that the student got. That's exactly what that guardian did. She took that strong feeling and she spoke to her mum about it. And she said, do you know, this girl was doing this consultation and Karma said she liked fish. Can you believe that? Karma, liking fish. She doesn't eat fish at all. The mother, who at that time I think was about 85 years of age, and the mother very sheepishly looked down, did not give her daughter eye contact, and said, on a Friday, when I look after the cats for you, I always give Karma fish from the fish and chip shop. The client didn't know. She didn't know this because her mum had never told her before. Now, her mum could have chosen still not to tell her because the client was not very happy. But what the purpose of sharing this is that the student would have thought that they were wrong. The student would have assumed they were wrong because the client was so absolutely adamant that this was not, this cat did not like fish. But she just didn't know. She did not know that her mum gave her fish from the fish and chip shop. So what a really good kind of affirmation to be using around this when you get a no, especially if you felt it strongly in your body. Just remind yourself, it's not necessarily wrong. It might not have landed for the client just yet. And remember Karma and the fish. So data, not drama. This is the second tool that I want to share with you, and this is called presuppositions. So, sorry, I must have forgotten to do a save on this when I last updated it. So this is not no middle ground. We've just done that. Presupposition is beliefs where the beliefs are kind of cored in underneath the responses. And what we want to do here again is to gently challenge the thinking. So the strategy here is to invite meaning. That's the way we get round anybody's strong beliefs and opinions about something. So when they're saying, no, there's never been a bridge with a river, then you can just invite meaning by asking, I wonder if this relates to anything else at all. Is there anything else in your life that this might kind of sit with? Or can you think what else this could mean? It's a really good one. Have you, as this is lost on me, this is your boy, this is your dog, your horse, you know him better than I do. Is there anything else that you think that this could possibly mean? And again, like, where does the client's brain go? Goes to search, goes to search and look for the information. So your anchoring mantra or affirmation here, my lovely, is curiosity over certainty. Just be curious instead of accepting the client's no as an absolute certainty, or even accepting your doubt in yourself as an absolute certainty. So curiosity always wins. I had a call today with my students on my professional practitioner program. They're all coming over the finish line just now, and I had a feedback call with one of them today, and I had to say to her, because something came up in the session, and I said, it's about being brave. So I'm going to share this with all of you. Be brave. The magic happens in the brave moments. I know I said it earlier, but it's really, really important when you're brave enough to ask. And that student did come back to me and say, well, actually, Sarah Jane, what if we looked at this and we started to look at it from a completely different perspective? And it absolutely made 100% sense to me as a guardian of the dog that she was communicating with, and it resonated for the student in the way that she felt it and received it. But the initial information, it resonated and it fitted, but it wasn't spot on. So be brave, be brave. If something in your body says that it might be something else, just be brave and ask. What's the worst that can happen? They say no, you just keep it light and you move on. So whenever doubt strikes, or if you're in doubt, my lovely, lean into the data. Lean into the data. What is fact? So that one slide before, where the guardian says no, Karma the cat, it's so easy to say, well, I got it wrong because she hates fish. But when you're that's you in the drama. But when you lean into the data, it's like, okay, maybe the guardian doesn't know. Maybe the guardian doesn't remember. Or maybe somebody once fed her fish that she liked and she remembered that one occasion where she had it and she never got it again. So there's all these different ways that you can be helping yourself feel more confident in your work as an animal communicator. We want to stay out of the drama, because that's where we give up. So I said at the beginning that increasing your accuracy, there are two approaches: skill-based strategy and perspective. This training has dived right down into the perspective, but it is important to have that skill-based strategy as well. This is about the practice and the processes and the templates and the checklists and all that kind of stuff that really guide you in your. So my Animal Communication Club just opened the doors. It's a seedling of an idea that I had about a year ago, and it's not a training program. It's not a training program. The focus on the Animal Communication Club is let's get shit done. That's the focus. I don't want you to go into a members area where there's a million videos to watch and a trillion things to download. That creates overwhelm. I want you just to have a clean, clear space where you can show up, practice your animal communication, and most importantly, be guided, be encouraged, be supported, get some mentorship, get some, exploring how you work as an animal communicator, learning how to track your progress, see your growth, increase your confidence. Most importantly, how you get unstuck. So that's the premise of the Animal Communication Coaching Club. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I don't want to take away from the core training that we're doing. I just want to let you know about it, and I'll give you a link and all the information there, and you can see it in much more detail. But in its essence, it's a place for you to come, a safe place for you to practice, even as a complete beginner. I came up with a great idea in the pool. Was it yesterday morning or this morning? I can't remember. I was swimming. Get great ideas when I was swimming. And I've decided that when you come into a class, you can either be a meerkat, a dolphin, or a lion. I'm not going to go into what those animals mean right now, but you get to choose. You get to choose your coaching journey inside each of those classes with me. I have taught people from absolute complete beginners to seasoned professionals. I will be able to pitch the coaching that you want and need on any given day. And it might be different from one month to another month. And that's okay too, because remember I said earlier, we're all human and we experience things differently at different times. So this is a 12-month experience. It's not a come for a month. Well, you can come for a month and never come back, but I don't want to have an open door. I don't want an open door in and out, dipping in and out thing. I don't want to do that. That's not how I show up best for you, and it's not how I believe you learn best either. So I'm just really being in integrity with myself as a teacher. So it is a 12-month experience. The standard coaching club is £300 for the year, our monthly classes and my coaching. It's not a teaching program, but you know me, I can't help but teach. So I've got some really nice resources that will support you in your journey, but it's not a place to come and learn. It's a place to come and do. Remember, let's get shit done. You're coming to do. So the standard club is 300. There's 10 places on VIP. When I last checked before the class, there's only 5 left. The VIP is where you can contact me throughout the month, throughout the year, questions, challenges, feeling stuck, needing to get a bit of direction. You don't have to wait till the class. So 5 places left there. The early bird is available for a week. So you don't need to make a decision here and now. Next Thursday, 7 o'clock, sorry, next Thursday, the 7th at midnight, in red is the early bird. So it's maybe not the best slide. So let me just quickly talk you through it. This is the price, but until the 7th, you can come in full price at $250 or 2 different installment options. All are less than the 300. After the 7th, it's £25 a month. The VIP version is exactly the same. Early bird, you can come in till the 7th, you get £100 off, and you also have these 2 different installment options as well. After the 7th, it's a monthly installment of 50, or you can still pay it in full, but it'll be the full amount. So it's a good discount. But you know, I love to give lots, so you've got much more than just a monetary discount. If you sign up in this early bird window, you'll get the financial discounts. You'll also get a troubleshooting workbook. You will get a cheat sheet from this workshop. I've already created a cheat sheet, and I've got your kind of key phrases and prompts. I'll have all of them outlined for you as well. So anybody that signs up on the early bird, if you've already signed up, you're going to get all this as well. So that's for you if you come in on the early bird. If you pay in full on the early bird or outside of the early bird, if you can pay in full at any time, you will also get a progress chart. So it's a chart to help you track your progress and see where you're developing, where your strengths are, what you're good at, the areas that you want to maybe polish up a little bit. You'll also get a troubleshooting reference guide, and you will get a recording of this class to keep for yours forever. So they are your extras. And I will lift this link and pop it in the chat. I'm just putting it here for you, but I will lift it and pop it into the chat. So what I'm going to do, I did say I didn't want to talk long about that. I've got one more bonus training slide. Give me a thumbs up if you, it's just a quick one, if you want me to do it, the other bonus slide.
Sarah Jane, can you hear me? Sarah Jane, can you hear me? We haven't been able to see the slides for the last 20 minutes or so, and we can't see your face. No, we haven't been able to see your face or the slides for quite some time. No, at least 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that.
How awful for you all. Can you see me now? No, you can't because my video's gone off. Can you? Oh my Lord. Can you see me now? Can you see me? Yeah. What a freaking nightmare. I am so sorry. Right. Oh my Lordy Lord.
Sorry, we should have perhaps interrupted you sooner, but I just thought perhaps it was me at first, but then I put a message in the chat and it seemed like quite a lot of people couldn't either, so I thought it wasn't me. Oh no.
Bloody technology. Right, okay. So right? There's the perfectionist part of me that says, right, you're going to have to re-record this. And then there's the other part of me that's saying, right, well, we're here. It is a free class, and I don't, for those of you that followed me for a while, I don't under deliver because it's free. That's not part of who I am. If you're choosing to come along on the coaching club journey with me, you will get all of the written versions and the extra templates that come around this class. I'll sleep on whether I'm going to do a complete re-record or whether I'm just going to surrender to the discomfort of half of the slides not showing up. That's not good. So thank you, Rowan for bringing that to my attention. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to just very quickly, because I'm off slides, I am going to pop into the chat the link to the coaching club. If you're on my email list, you should have got it. If you've come on to the class and you didn't sign up to the email list, you won't have seen it before. So the door's open to the public today. The link is in the chat. What I'm going to do is have a go bringing up that last slide. And let's see if this works. I can't believe that. Technology, oh my Lord. Can you see that? Can you see that slide? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Right. This is the last slide, a little bonus, just a little extra for you all, which I thought would be quite good. So these are journaling prompts, and if you decide to join me in the coaching club, this will be one of the resources that you can access. So when you're sharing your feedback with guardians, you want to consider ways to soften the delivery of the messages and also explore ways to use or explore ways that you can help the guardian open up their mind. So I want you to reflect on that and have a think about, oh, do I do that in my practice or do I not? And there's no right or wrong here. It's not about that. This is about learning. So if you don't do it, just have a think about what kind of phrases sit really well for you that would feel more comfortable for you to bring in to help your guardian think outside of the box. And then the self-judgment, this is where I'm inviting you to reflect on instances where you perceived yourself to be wrong, where you believed that you were wrong because the guardian said so. Remember one of those core beliefs in the Data Not Drama piece? So I'm inviting you to think back and reflect back on some of your cases where you did get information wrong, but now can you see that it could be different? It could be like Karma the cat. Guardian thought she didn't like fish, hates fish. Actually was not true at all. So I invite you to reflect back on your previous cases and see where you can come in with this new learning, and you can look at it and say, that could actually be different. Maybe they just didn't know. So that's always a good one to look back on, because it helps you see where you may have been more accurate than you thought you were. And then I invite you to think about how you can bring the guardian into the feedback and have them a part of it, like a partnership where you can explore or think about in this exercise. I want you to think about methods that you could use that would invite the guardian into sharing a new discovery. The case I said earlier about the student on my program on an assessment call today, it was about having that brown trouser moment. It's about going through the discomfort, and what's on the other side of the discomfort is always growth and magic, always. So you can have that shared magical experience when you're brave enough to ask the guardian to go there with you. And then finally, but by no means least, think about different ways that you can create more partnership in your feedback. Because if you are able to bring that feeling of conversation between you and the guardian, they are so much more forgiving of any errors or little mishaps, or you saying, oh, I'm just learning, so I realize now. They're going to be wanting to help you and encourage you. But if you're just reeling things off and you're making them all facts and there's no partnership there or collaboration with the guardian, it's much easier for the guardian just to be like, no, and then their confidence falls and falls and falls in you. So I do invite you to explore different ways that you can create partnership in your feedback with your client. And that is one of the things that we will be doing in the coaching club, because every month when we come together, we're doing it live. You have to give the feedback in the class. So I'm there to guide you. Sometimes the feedback's to me, sometimes it will be to a visiting person with their animal, but you're having to do that. And I can guide you and show you how you can soften your feedback, or how you can present it differently so it opens up the guardian's thinking. Or I can even, and this has happened many a time, where I've been able to point out in front of the guardian that the student was actually correct, or more correct than the guardian had at first thought. So lots of scope for you to really dive into that in the coaching club, if that feels like the right option for you. If you haven't read the blurb, the only thing that's really important to say is, for me, this is an experiment. We talked earlier about, make it all an experiment. This is an experiment. It's a much loved class that's only ever been available inside my programs. And for the first time, I'm bringing it outside of the programs, because I want to help those that had the weekly animal teaching. I was looking and going, oh, we could do more here, we could do more. But I'm only committing to it for a year. Beyond that, if it works, great, and I've got time and energy and capacity to deliver it next year, great, it will carry on, but it might not. I've got big plans for other animal communication stuff next year. So I'm only committing to it for this year. So if it feels like something that you want to do, or you're ready for, or that you really need, then please jump on board now while there's still places, because once the places are gone, that's it. That's it. And it might not ever happen again. And I'm not saying that from any place of creating false urgency. For those of you that have been traveling with me, you'll know that things have been quite turbulent. We've had a lot of family tragedy. And so I'm really looking at how I manage my time, my energy, for myself, for my clients, the work that I do, and for my family too. So that's where that decision's coming from. So I just want to be really clear about that too. So if you've got any questions about that, let me know in the chat. Right now, I'm going back to the chat to see what you all put in, because you thought I'd forgotten I asked you questions, not testing questions, just checking in questions. So let me see. MPIPs. I don't know if that's I don't know if it's Emma, or maybe it is. Anyway, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's from Preston, UK. Well done. Part beginner. Worked with a couple of other people's pets, but struggling to trust communication with my own little girl. Yes. In the beginning, it can be really difficult to communicate with your own animals. Some people find it easy. Some people just do it and it's easy. But for most people, it can be a bit trickier, because we're more closely connected. We're too emotionally involved, and it can be hard. I love that, Laura. How can we become evidential animal communicators if we don't use facts? Yeah, but I see it so often, where people make facts. They make the facts because they conclude and assume and interpret. That's not our job. It's not our job to interpret. Okay. Oh, here we go. Tatiana. Yes. Does she act like she's two? Brilliant. That would be a great workaround there. Thanks for clarifying. Does she act young by chance? Brilliant. I love it. I feel a young energy from her. Excellent. Does she act like a 2-year-old? Perfect. Do they act young? I wondered if she maybe has young dog energy. Oh, I love that. She has a very youthful energy surrounding her. I love it. They're all perfect textbook responses, but do you see how many different variations are there? So it's just about finding your words and your language that sit most comfortably for you, but they're all spot on. Well done, everyone. Well done. So this was about the animals that they didn't see. So Laura's saying, did you by chance have an animal that passed away or visits occasionally that matches that description? Brilliant. That visits occasionally, that could actually be a physical dog in real time that visits the house too. Brilliant, Laura. As he's saying, do these animals resonate in any way? Excellent. And that's when the mind goes out and they start to think, well, do they? And then they find the information. Sometimes it could be symbolic. Do you maybe have an animal friend that loves to jump or catch air like a bird would? I love that. I love that. Oh, and Sheila sent me a message. We cannot see your screen, but don't see the messages when the slides are up. Oh, let's see. And Laurie's done the same. So I've got a few of you private messaging me, and I just didn't see them. Right. So this is all the slide stuff. Yeah. What happens if you can't attend the live practice session? Do you still get feedback from the Guardian? Right. I love that, Rowan. That's a really great question. So with the practice, if you can't make it live, the recording is there for you to do retrospectively. Now, we're trying to work out the time frame at the moment, because what I want to do, and I don't really do this in my own programs, but you've got the recording to practice, and you'll see that Tatiana, who's actually here, that she put a piece together. She gave me something a wee while back. She was talking about the Connect to Communicate classes that we do, which is kind of like the coaching club. That is the coaching club. The feedback that I've got consistently over the years is that people don't really feel that different when they're doing it on the replay. Yes, they're not in the room, but the way I set the class up, it really includes you and holds you in the space, and the way that it's done, you're just moving along in this in the real time of you watching it. You're moving along at the same pace as everybody else. Where it can be tricky, which is where your question comes in, is that you might have some feedback that nobody else has given, and you're unsure if that is correct or not. So what I'm doing for the coaching club is I'm creating a window. It will be a short window, so it'll be 24, 48 hours where you can still put your, you can email in with your feedback that you haven't been able to check off by everybody else's. Because this is what tends to happen in the classes. When you're listening on the replay, everybody else is saying similar stuff to you. Because if you're all getting it right, then you can tick that off that it's correct because somebody else has said it and it's been verified. But if there is that piece that you're like, oh, nobody said that, and I do invite you to be brave about that, because just because nobody said it doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that nobody else has found that. So we are going to create this window where you can email in. We'll get a form created and you can pop it on the form and we can get that checked for you. The reason that it will be a short window isn't to be mean or anything like that, but the work that I do, I'm working with so many animals. If you ask me 3 weeks afterwards, I've probably already worked with 10 animals by then in my own. I'm out of the energy of that consultation, and the Guardians off doing their thing as well, if it's not me that's giving feedback and it's somebody else. So there will be a window for you to be able to do that. So the coaching club practices once a month. So it is that monthly meetup place. I don't at the moment have plans to have a Facebook group around it, but if that's what people want, I'm happy to put that together as well. It really is, the focus is, let's get shit done. Let's turn up, do the practice. I have got quite a list of what I would call short, sharp, powerful resources that you can tap into, but I do not want you to come in and have a million things to look at, a million things to download. I want you to come in, be busy in your life, and know that there's no expectation for you have to go and learn modules or read things, or you don't have to do that. It's just about coming together. You'll have your key resources. If you've never worked with me before, I'll be sharing my grounding technique and my connection techniques with you so that you can choose to use them in the class, because I'll guide you using them so you can get them up ahead of time. If you've got your own techniques that you've learned somewhere else that you love, then don't listen to mine. Just turn my volume down and you do your own thing. This is not about me putting you in a box of what an animal communicator should be or do or how they practice. My teaching philosophy is very, very clear. My job as a teacher is to understand how you practice, and then I bend and flex to support you in your practice style. So if you set your sessions up differently from me, that's okay. I invite you and encourage you and give you full permission to do it your way. You don't need to do it my way. But ultimately, we're meeting that once a month, coming together, an hour and a half, really super tight, supportive team of people. It's not just me. We'll be supporting each other, all your peers that are in there too, whether you're a beginner, more experienced, it doesn't matter. We can pitch the feedback. And you'll have days when you might come into class and you're just like, I don't want a spotlight on me today. I don't want anything shining on anything that I've done wrong. then you're a meerkat. You're just observing. You just let me know. I'm a meerkat today, Sarah Jane. I don't want a spotlight on me. I'm just looking, I'm just watching, seeing what's going on. But maybe you're going to be a lion and you're like, right, bring it on today. I didn't want any feedback last session, but this time, bring it on. I'm ready. I want you to really push me today. And then you might have the dolphin that's somewhere in the middle that's like, okay, I'm ready for a bit of spotlight, but be gentle with me. And for those of you that haven't worked directly with me, I suppose you just need to kind of trust my words on this. I can be as direct or as non-direct as you need me to be. I am a big believer in always being truthful, but I will always do that from a place of love and compassion and kindness for you and where you are. Because if I don't do that, you're not going to want to come back. Like, who wants to go to a class and feel intimidated or gotten at or not appreciated or not seen or like, she had a real go at me today because I didn't do it. It's not the way I feedback. It's not the way I teach. I don't even think that's teaching. That's just it's bullying, and it's not what I do. So in the classes, you will have your space to let me know what level you are available for on any given class. And some classes you might just want to sit back and observe, and some classes you might want to dive in. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you, and I will honor whatever feels right for you. Yes, at the moment, the days for the classes are, I want to alternate them just to allow for different people. So a Wednesday and a Tuesday, they're the days that will be alternated at the moment. Might be a Monday and a Wednesday, but either a Monday and a Wednesday or a Tuesday and a Wednesday. I am also open to having a little bit of tinkering with the time, but I just want to be really clear that it will be wholly 100% dependent on the participants and their time zones. So if we've got one person, I've had 3 people over the years from Singapore at different times, and they just miss out so much. So if we've only got one person from Singapore and everybody else fits this time zone or their time zones fit this time, then that's going to be a bit tricky. So I just want you to know that I'm open and I'm flexible, but it will just be dependent on how many time zones fit in the time that's been suggested. But at the moment, it's 6 o'clock, same time as this class tonight, 6 o'clock. First one's Wednesday, the 28th of May. And 6 o'clock, and I can't wait. I'm really, really excited. And I also, it's in the blurb, so most people, when you do your practice sessions, you go in and you've got your technique, your setting up technique and your connection technique, and then you go into it. And I do that as well. That's very an important part of how I teach people. But I also tinker and toy and tweak with different ways to do the practice. So even though my setup is kind of the same for most of the sessions, there's different ways that I can have you practice with the animal so that you can discover what you like. Do you like to sit and use a photograph, or do you prefer to do it this way, or do you prefer to do it that way? So we'll be bringing in these different styles of practice that you may have done before, but I would doubt if you've done in this kind of environment. And anybody that's trained with me more than 2 years ago, you haven't done any of these ones, so they're all new. I like to juice it up a little bit. So I've got a question in here. I feel like the Live Connect Communicates are one of the best confidence building tools by Sarah Jane. Oh, thank you. And the active in the field learning tools. Yep. Yeah, so the Live Connect and Communicate classes, they're the classes that are now coming into the coaching club. So that's the classes. Thank you, Sheila. Yeah, the students have always loved them because it's the work. That's the work. That's what we do. That's where we show up and we practice. So my lovelies, I've gone a little bit over time. Does anybody have any questions, whether it's about the masterclass or about the coaching club? Now's the time to speak. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, so excited to start the coaching club. Yeah, I'm excited too. Honestly, it's been a year like percolating and thinking, well, how can I help people be better? And and the Facebook group, to be fair, the Facebook group, I think it was a really good setup. And the feedback, again, consistently over however many years I've been doing that, I think it's about 10 years. You know, the consistent feedback from people is that they really loved the setup in the group and it was really supportive, but it has its limitations. So I just want to take the limitations away and create something different for you. What extra things are in the VIP classes? So the VIP, it's not extra in the classes. The VIP, your VIP ticket, if you upgrade to the VIP, what you get is 24/7 access to me all through the year, like all year round. Now, when I say 24/7, I just want to be really transparent. You cannot phone me at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you can leave me a message at 3 o'clock in the morning and I will get back to you. So if you're in a different time zone and you're banging your head against the wall and you're like, I don't know what to do with this, I don't know what this means, then you can just drop me a note and I will get that and I will respond to that. So I will be responding to your questions, your challenges throughout not just the month, but the whole of the year. I'm exploring some different options so that you get a direct line to me. So we've got a system that we already use at work. I don't think we've got enough space on that for 10 people. So I'm looking at Voxer and some other tools. So you'll have a dedicated space that's a direct line to me. It'll be private. Nobody else will be able to see it. So it's just your question to me and I will answer that ideally within 24 hours. That's my kind of marker. But all things being equal and humans being human, 24, 48 hours absolute latest. And our working week here is Monday to Thursday. So if you know that you want something ahead of the weekend, if you're doing practice at the weekend or something like that, then make sure that you get your question into me kind of like Wednesday lunchtime so I can make sure that everything's, because I'll always check before I finish on a Thursday that everything's all up to date. But you can be leaving me messages all weekend. If if stuff's coming up, you can leave messages over the weekend and I'll come in and deal with them on the Monday. So that's the VIP ticket. And the VIPs have some extra resources as well. So you've got your access to me, but you've also got your I can't remember now. I need to go back and look at the slide. And I took the slide off, or the slide didn't show, did it? So the VIPs do have some extra resources. For those of you that are in or have been in my professional practitioner program that are coming, you will recognize a couple of them. So there's the LEAP log, the bravery log. So there's a couple of extra resources in there for the VIPs, so you can really hone in on where you're at, where you want to get to. And I forgot, because I obviously didn't save the slide before I put it up here. So my amendments didn't save. So I've got one that I didn't mention. And if you come in on the early bird, you'll get a one-to-one strategy call with me. So you get a one-to-one strategy call with me where we will look at where you are, where you want to get to, and what's holding you back in your actual practice. And then when I've got that information, I can guide you in the monthly classes. I can really, if you're open, and when I say push, I don't mean I just mean So if you want me to push you, if I know that you're really scared to, well, here's a real one actually, a student on my professional practitioner program, she's in the health section just now, and she's worried about doing body scanning. And she's like, I just get really scared about body scanning. So using that as an example, if we have a strategy call and I know that you're really worried about body scanning, then if we have opportunity to do that in a class, then I'm going to bring in that gentle push and I'm going to shine that spotlight on you in the class and I'm going to be with you in the class and guide you through the body scan so you can do that with support and encouragement and overcome that fear. So that's where the strategy calls are really helpful. They're only available for those that sign up in the early bird period. They were originally only for the VIPs. So it was only the VIPs that were going to get the strategy call. But I thought this morning, I was like, do you know what? I think I'm just going to change that for everybody. Everybody, if they're coming on board, and you'd be silly not to sign up in the early bird. period because you've got your monetary discount, but you'll get your one-to-one strategy call as well, and that'll help me guide you. And if you're ready for that gentle pushing, then I'll know where to push and how to push with you so that you can just be the best that you can be. That's all I want for you. Okay, I think, is that all the questions? Yeah, let me just change my view. Thank you so much for everyone staying this long and still being here. I know that some of you have popped off. I do apologise again about the bloody technology. You work so hard to put the slides together and they don't even blink and show. Anyway, it is what it is. Let it go, let it go. I need to go outside and get some fresh air, I think. So thank you so much, all of you. And whether you join the coaching club or not, I really, it's just my desire that you've got a lot out of tonight that can really help you and support you as you move forward in your animal communication work. I'm just feel so privileged to be able to be here, standing here and sharing this work with you. And so thank you for giving me your time and energy as well. You know where I am if you need anything from me or if you have any questions after this class. If you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and think, bugger, I should have asked Sarah Jane that and I forgot, then just drop me an email. And just a very quick reminder before I go, for all of you that posted in about what you would say if you got a no from the Guardian and it was like no, and then you coming in with your beautiful questions, you all nailed that. And I know that some of you identified yourselves as beginners when I asked at the start of the class, but some of you that got those questions in there, you're absolute beginners. So it's what I said right at the beginning. This is a great place to be because you're starting this work with a really, really strong, solid foundation to present your work to the Guardians in a way that really honors the work that you're doing and allows it to be the best that it possibly can be. And you deserve that as well as the animals. So until next time, my lovely, please do not apologize for joining late. You're here. And I'm just very grateful. And you've all got the replay available until Sunday at midnight. If you come in on the early bird and the full pay bonus, you'll get the recording of this class as well. Okay. Very valuable advice offered with empathy. Oh, I hope so. Yeah, it's so important in this work. So important. So I'm off on a tangent. I must just zip it. But let me share this piece with you because it is really important. In the days before Zoom, when we did live workshops, and I would, have like 50 people in a room, and people would say things like, "Oh, I'm here because I love animals and I don't like people," and my heart would always sink. So if that's you, and you're thinking, "Oh, that's me," let me explain why my heart sinks. Because for us to do this work as best as we can, sorry, I'm getting emotional now. For us to do this work as best as we can for the animals, the only way it's going to work is if we can get the people on board. We need the people to make the changes that the animals have asked us for. And you have to be able to bring that empathy and that compassion and that understanding. And most importantly, if you've still got pen and paper, write this down, non-judgment of your client. Everybody is doing their best. I truly believe that. Even the people that do abhorrent things, whether it's inside the animal communication world or outside of animal communication world, people are generally, unless they have a genuine mental illness, people are generally doing the best that they can with the resources and the support that they have available to them. So if you take nothing else from this class, just pile the empathy on when you feel your anger rising at the way somebody's behaving with the animal that you're communicating with, or because they're not doing this and they're not doing that. They maybe don't know. Our role isn't to judge, our role is to educate. And using the teachings from tonight's class, that puts you in a beautiful place to educate with empathy and compassion and have your client thinking, "Oh, never thought about it like that," rather than your client leaving, feeling judged and then not putting the actions in place for the animal. Whew, I've got a big run of goosebumps. That clearly needed to be said for someone somewhere. I don't know who. Right, I am now going to zip it because I could just talk all night because I love everything to do with animal communication and teaching. But if you do need anything from me, you all know where I am. Just hit reply in an email in, and that'll go straight into the office. If you've got any questions about the coaching club, just let me know. And for those of you that have already taken that leap. I am so happy and so excited to be leaping with you into a year of discovery and support and mentorship and helping you become the best animal communicator that you possibly can be. Until next time, everyone, take lots and lots of care. Bye.